So Leslie, Mekeka has been going on for 2 years, still technically in that startup phase,
Right.
but you've had a lot of interesting experiences already. Tell us about the journey of entrepreneurship. What's been most rewarding? What have been some challenges you've seen since you've been starting?
I think one of the challenges is being and having taught for so long and done project-based work. I've not done anything that has to translate into small business that has to make money. Looking at some of the challenges and really evaluating what is my production, what do I need to price things at, really getting into the nitty-gritty of, okay, what are my goals this quarter? What are my goals next quarter? I will say one of the things that's been really rewarding is that working with people and asking questions and meeting people that have been there and hoping that they won't mind when you go, now tell me this, X, Y, and Z. For me, I'm always trying to make sure that I don't sound like I know everything, because I don't. I'm in the learning phase right now, in a phase of just figuring out the best way, the best route.
I love that lifelong learning approach, which I personally take in life. It sounds like you do as
Lifelong
well.
learning.
Lifelong
Yeah.
learning. I'm a lifelong learner. It's an exciting field to be in. I'm super excited to just be along on the journey to see what's next for Mekeka. But tell me about kind of the training because Leslie has been so modest, but she is really very informed on textiles. What kind of led you to where you are today?
Right.
Because you probably took in a lot of information along the way.
I think when you teach textiles, you end up teaching numerous techniques every semester. If you're teaching 3 levels of weaving, or teaching, intro to fibers or screen printing or surface design, all those different courses give you what I would always tell my students is you're going to leave with a big toolbox of techniques, of knowledge. But you end up weaving in, culture, historical uses, trying to get them to understand that this isn't just about technique, but it's how you use something. It's why it was used, who's used it, how have different places, not only contemporary artists, but maybe people that are working more in a traditional cultural way, how did they use it? So it's really has been where I had to learn as I taught, and there was never an end to me finding new information or finding about something that was new and wanting to then share that and engage the students with that.
Just for our audience out there, list off a couple of countries so we know what's in the running, and then tell us what the top one you would say so far for really inspirational arts and culture.
Oh gosh, how do you do that? My big 3 that I've really done a lot of work in is, of course, Uganda, Armenia I mentioned, and then Kuwait, which was between 2015 2017. I've done, the normal kind of European, Scotland, we've done projects there, Canada, Mexico. Never have gone south though of Mexico. So there are places that when you ask about travel, and my thought is where do I want to go, not where I've been. I will say one of the most surprising places was going to Kuwait. So I had the opportunity to do a Fulbright specialist there because of a connection to Uganda. And I will say that the more you travel, the more you realize the world's very interconnected, and you didn't realize that. That's how I was in Uganda, then ended up in Kuwait. But we ended up working with Bedouin weavers there at a beautiful museum and shop called Al Sadhu House. It's a collective / co-op of Bedouin weavers that are doing Sadhu weaving. As much as you try to understand about a country or research, I would go into the library before I went and try to find books on Kuwait so I could understand things. And you just don't get it until you go and you really engage with the people that are living there, that are from there, maybe that even come and visit and they decided to stay. I will say my favorite experience in Kuwait, well, they're all favorites, I don't want to rank them, but the Jada Aske, who is was an artist there, arranged for a trip of these really kind of diverse people, from architects to fashion designers and just, writers, to go to an island called Failacha Island. And I'd never been to any place like that in my life. I've never heard of
Failacha Island.
Right, so it's about 20 miles off the coast of Kuwait in the Arabian Gulf. And it was an island that was inhabited, now I apologize if my history's a little bit off, but inhabited for thousands of years. And then when you had the Iraqi invasion that came through in the early 90s, it basically decimated the population that lived on there. They moved off, so it just, the island is this trapped in time place that I've never seen anything like it. So it's, imagine everybody gets up and leaves, and then you see just graffiti everywhere, places run down, and then at the same time they're trying to build it back, so you have this really interesting resort area that's right next to the school that has graffiti and bullet holes everywhere. It was just odd, but it was so fascinating.
Sounds like an interesting juxtaposition.
It really was. That was just one really small part of my work in Kuwait, but it was one that I didn't expect at all to be able to see something like that, or to be there.
Yeah, that's a place that some people will never travel to. So you have gone and taken stories from there, seeing what they're creating there, and I just love that. So the last thing I want to do is check out some of Leslie's travel finds. We have them in another area over here that we'll show you, and just kind of dive in because Leslie, I mean, she had a hard time choosing. This is a fraction probably of all of the souvenirs she's gotten, and these are high quality artisanal souvenirs. So let's go check them out. Like I said earlier, this is seriously just a fraction.
It's scary, it's a fraction.
They make beautiful home decor items.
Right.
And one of the things that I think we're totally feeling both the kind of the same sentiment on is encouraging you out there as you travel to pick up souvenirs that are not so average or you know, standard. Let's look at some of your non-traditional travel finds. What's your favorite?
I will say one of my favorite things to do is go to grocery stores when I travel.
Okay.
I also love things that are functional and things that I feel like I can actually use in my everyday if I want to. So I will say real quick, I was in Scotland and fell in love with this Pico ware. It was at a restaurant, and every table had one of these beautiful aluminum, these are coffee vessels. And so it took me about a week in antique stores to find one while I was over there, and I did. And it was just where it reminds me then of this great dinner I had. I can put ice in it and water, and then I can feel like I'm back there. Not really, but as close as I can get. I love things that people use or people have used. So this is one of my treasured possessions. It's a insamu, so it's a mallet that's made that's used to beat the bark cloth. I bought it from an artisan that had used it and really feel like it's a beautiful treasure. They are gorgeous too, because I have about 5 or 6 of these, and at the house before this one, I had these displayed on a mantle type of shelf, and it was beautiful because they're curious objects. You don't really know what they are, but the form is beautiful and the texture on it is beautiful. And then this is one of my favorite things. I love, again, functional. We used this when I was in Armenia during the textile workshop to dye with madder. So it has this gorgeous red patina to it now. And I think Lilith thought I was crazy when I said, I need this to take home. I somehow shoved this one in my suitcase and it didn't want to fit. And this is the one that we had used to stir the indigo vat. And so then it has these beautiful bits of color on it that didn't exist before. So I have these, I've put them on my mantle, as odd as that might sound, but they look really pretty with, you know, stacked up with plants around it.
Yeah.
And I will say this, I used to buy lots of little things, right? The little tchotchke things. I've learned over the years to back off on that and really try to invest in 1 or 2 things while enjoying the things that remind you of the place.
Once you start going to more utilitarian items, which are still a treat for us because they're different things than what we're getting back home, but we can actually use them. That's kind of what we're saying when thinking outside the box for finding these travel finds. Antique shops while you're traveling. Come on guys, that's where the best stuff is.
I have a Queen Victoria era copper half-gallon measure. It's one of my favorite things too.
And lastly, we mentioned your travels in Armenia. This is a very beautifully delicate weaving, really well done, and you actually keep in touch with those women there. So you're making new friends along with finding new souvenirs.
Facebook and Instagram, you end up staying connected. I just sent a happy birthday message yesterday to one of the weavers, Sona, that was in my group in Armenia. So you stay connected, you want to engage because you build relationships because you've been in for hours with them, exploring and creating and laughing.
I've really enjoyed our chat today, Leslie.
Thank you.
Everyone check out Mekeka. Order pillows. You will not be disappointed. Really beautiful, beautiful products. So stay tuned. I plan to catch up with Leslie and see what's next. So we will be updating you on the latest with Mekeka as the year goes on. Thanks guys for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.